What's up you guys, it's Graham here. So I ended up getting quite a few comments on my income breakdown video for 1 month in particular, and that was in April of 2017, where my income that month was $136,474.43. So given all the comments and questions regarding this and why that month in particular was triple or quadruple the previous months, I felt this is something worth elaborating on a little further and discussing how I was able to achieve this and what's involved in doing this as a real estate agent. Now, by the way, I hope that some of these principles and techniques would apply no matter what business you're in. Even though I'm in real estate, I'm hoping that you can pick and choose and implement some of these as well, regardless of what business you're in. So don't click out of this video thinking, I don't care about real estate, I only subscribe to the BitConnect memes. Don't click out, because I'm hoping that these techniques would apply no matter what business you're in. So let's get into the income breakdown. Now, the majority of this was a result of me selling a $7 million house here in Los Angeles. I got another $4,000 or so of rental income, and then finally I got about $1,246 in YouTube ad revenue that month. Now, there's probably some other little minor stuff thrown in there that adds on to that income, like little lease commissions or other little tiny deals, or some stuff that won't really make a huge difference, so I'm gonna leave those out. But let's focus first on the biggest one, and that is the $7 million sale that I had, because obviously this is the bulk of the income that month, and I'll discuss exactly how I got the client, how that came to be, and everything revolving around that. Because keep in mind, growing up, I was not someone with $7 million connections. I did not grow up with $7 million houses. I grew up in areas where people were renting their home for like $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So I'm not someone who started off with any wild connections or multi-million dollar friends or family or anything like that. So what happened, and how can this apply to you as well? Honestly, it really just happened organically and grew over time as a result of long-term consistency, follow-up, and customer service from some of the clients I met at the very beginning of my career in real estate. And the $7 million client was actually someone that was referred to me. So the client that referred me this huge deal was actually someone I met in 2013, and he called me off a lease listing I posted on Craigslist. Ended up calling me, we talked for a little bit, and I ended up leasing him the very first home I showed him. I believe it was also the only home I showed him. He ended up signing a long-term lease on that house. He was happy, I was happy, it was easy, done. Now, what many people do in these situations is just collect their check, move on to the next one, and forget the original client ever even existed. But for anyone in sales or any sort of customer service industry, the best clientele that you're ever going to get is always going to be your existing business. They're going to be the ones that refer you more business, and anytime you get an in with somebody and they use you once, if they're happy with their experience, they're going to come back to you. You don't need to continue going out hustling new people once you have a large enough existing base of happy, satisfied clients, and this is exactly what I did. I just continued following up. Every 4 to 6 months, I would send an email just asking how he's doing, if there's anything I could help with, how the house is going, and then I'd also invite him to any office events or parties or anything unrelated to real estate, just so I can get to know him and build a connection outside of business. I make sure to do this with every client I end up working with, because it's inevitable at some point in the future they're going to refer you more business that happens to be just as awesome, and then that is another person that you can put in your database that will do the same thing. So sure enough, 3 years later, that same client hit me back up saying he wanted to find another property. And sure enough, just like the first time, he ended up getting the first house I showed him, which was amazing. It was a house up in the hills with a view of the entire city. It was perfect. So we ended up signing a long-term lease, and just like the first one, again, he was totally happy. And also, signing a deal on the first and only home you show them is also great. When you get to know a client and really understand what they want, you can really pinpoint the few specific homes that you really feel are going to be the best fit for them. And this just cuts away all the bullshit, all the time wasting, and you get right into exactly what they want, and a lot of clients really appreciate that. But here's where things get interesting. After another few months, that same client called me up and said that he wanted to refer me some other business for another really high-end lease. Now, because this is a referral, you really have to go above and beyond. Referrals are the type of business that could really make or break the past relationship you have with the first client that referred you. Anytime someone ends up referring you somebody, they really go out on the line and they put their own reputation at stake, and they expect you to deliver. So if you don't, it ends up making them look bad. Plus, anytime someone refers you business, it's really such a huge compliment that they really have that much trust in you to refer you to someone they know. So it's so vital that anytime you get a referral, you treat them like royalty, you pull out the red carpet, you do everything you can to make sure they're happy, and that's exactly what I did. Now, the referral was initially looking for a high-end lease, but after looking at a few properties, he concluded that it's probably better off for him to buy something instead, and his budget at the time was up to $10 million. Now, keep in mind, growing up and starting in the business, I had none of these wild connections. I knew nobody who was buying $10 million properties. But here I was, years later, in a position to help somebody find a $10 million property. Now, keep in mind, to get to this point, it took me almost 9 years of working in the business. And it was also about 4 years after I originally met the person that referred me him. It's pretty trippy to think about, but it's really the accumulation of a lot of work put in, a lot of follow-up, meeting a lot of people to meet the types of people that refer you that type of business. And I really think it's so important to have a long-term outlook on everything you do. When I first started working as a real estate agent, I knew I would be doing this for decades. So I really wanted to build up a very happy, solid foundation of existing clients that I knew would use me again, refer me more business, and that would continue to grow over time. And that means that anytime I get a referral or work with someone for a second or third or sometimes fourth time, I go above and beyond for these people because it means so much to me that they trust me and appreciate me enough to use me again, and that means the world to me. And sure enough, just a few months later, this referral ended up buying a $7 million house for a pretty good deal. We found a seller who needed to sell and the house had some cosmetic issues. We were able to scoop it up at a pretty good price. And doing this led to my best month ever in real estate and also my highest sale ever at $7 million. Now, before this, my highest sale ever was $5.5 million in 2011. And this came from a lease client that I also met on Craigslist who ended up using me twice before he used me a third time to purchase his home, like I said, for $5.5 million. So what it really comes down to is two things. The first one is really having a long-term outlook, and the second is just having patience. It's easy to look at someone right now where they are and think that it just happens immediately and they see $7 million sales, or they see them happening regularly, or they see a high income. But what they don't see is that it took me almost 9 years of working in the business to get that type of referral and get that type of sale. It took me meeting thousands of people to get a good enough client base where I can consistently rely on them for themselves and their referrals to provide a stable income in real estate. Something like this didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of work involved behind the scenes and some random lucky elements as well, that I was in the right place at the right time for certain sales and certain clients because I put myself out there so much, and that's what leads to six-figure commissions. It's never about trying to close a deal as quick as possible, getting paid, then moving on to the next one, forgetting about the first person. This is a sleazy car salesman approach where every customer is really just seen as a dollar sign. Had I done that, I would never have repeat and referral business. And right now, that makes up the majority of the money I make and the majority of the deals I do in real estate. Just as an example, this month alone in May, I've had 2 sales. The first one was $1.5 million. That was a referral from a client who bought a $2.2 million home from me, who was a repeat client from someone I originally leased a house to. The second deal was $2.3 million, and that was a repeat client from someone I met a year and a half ago who ended up deciding to buy something. That works out to $3.8 million in sales just in 1 month, just using my existing client base. That's without me prospecting and going out there and busting my ass to meet new people. That's just providing great service to my existing clients. So no matter what business you're in, look at it as though you're gonna be in the business for 20 or 30 years. Every happy client will come back to you. Every happy client will refer you even more business. Then those people end up coming back to you and end up referring you even more business. And that just continues over and over and over again. Now, at this point, I pretty much do no prospecting whatsoever besides holding open houses or besides posting the occasional lease on Craigslist, for the most part, I just service my existing clients and their referrals, and this leads to over $20 million a year in sales volume, reliably without me having to prospect. This clears up my time to focus more of my time giving one-on-one attention to my clients and making sure they're taken care of, and this means they're happy, and if they're happy, I'm happy. So for your business, always focus on the long term. Never chase after short-term money if you know they're never gonna come back to you again. And I implement the same strategies also on YouTube. I intend to be around for a very, very, very long time, regardless if it's YouTube or whatever else it is in like decades from now. Anything I do now that might impact my business negatively in the future, I will not do. Any short-term money grab that I can try to get from my subscribers, sure, I might make a lot of money now, but if that ruins my relationship with all of you guys, it's not worth it. So take the same mentality as well, that you plan to be around for decades, and you intend for everyone to be happy and they come back to you over and over and over again. And this will carry you a really long way. Now, really quick, to address the other two sources of income, even though they're pretty significant compared to the first, the $4,000 in rental income comes in about every month. That was back then. Now it's a little bit more that I've added another property since then. Each rental property has its own account. I tally it up, and then at the end of the month or every other month, I'll just put whatever money's in there into my checking account, and that is what's registered on Mint. And of course, I have like a bajillion videos on my rental properties and all that sort of stuff, so I might just link them in the description, so if you guys want to check that out as well, there's so many videos on that already. And then I also have the $1,246 in YouTube ad revenue, and back then that was like, I was so stoked to get $1,200 a month from YouTube. Like, for me back then, that was my highest month ever. That was like a big deal to me. I was super happy to get that. And that was also part of that total figure. So that is, you guys, exactly how I made $136,474.43 working as a real estate agent. And I hope you guys found this helpful. So as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to hit the like button. It does really help out a lot. And also, if you've watched it all the way through, if you haven't already subscribed yet, why haven't you subscribed? It takes it takes like 1 second just to scroll down there and just hit the little subscribe button. I'll wait like 1 second, just hit it, smash it. Smash the subscribe button. And then right next to it, there's a notification bell. Make sure you hit that notification bell so YouTube notifies you anytime I upload a video. Make sure just make sure to hit that as well. Also, feel free to add me on Snapchat and Instagram. Posts are pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. And then finally, I know I have so many plugs here, but I have a program. It's called the Real Estate Agent Academy for anyone looking to get in the business of working as a real estate agent, or for anybody who's currently working as an agent but just wants to increase their volume and maybe take it to the next level. I have a program in the description. I'll offer $50 off plus a free coaching call when you finish. Love the coaching call, so if you guys are interested in that, the link is in the description. And by the way, I know it's a bit on the pricier side considering what most courses are, but if you ever get this and you're unhappy with it for whatever reason, like if you decide, after a week it's not worth it or it's not helpful, which I would be surprised if it wasn't, but if it is for whatever reason, just let me know. I'll make it right. I mean, I'll issue a full refund. If anyone's ever unhappy with this, like honestly unhappy, I'm not going to keep your money. So you don't have to worry about that. As long as it's reasonable, like don't wait like 6 months or whatever and then be like, watch the whole thing 5 times. You'd be like, I don't like it. But like anything reasonable, I'll be reasonable. So there's no risk in that. If you end up buying it and disliking it, don't worry about it. No harm, no foul. You get a full refund back. So anyway, that's how confident I am with it, that you guys will like it and will find value in it. And that's it. Thank you again for watching, and until next time.